Hey everybody, it's me Marquita, and I'm watching Reese Waters, and I think it's Who Raised Y'all. Anyways, it might be Reese Waters on Trouble. Um, anyways, but I was telling Gary because he's saying because when Laura Ingraham asked that one guy, how did the um, the what not interviewer, what the dude's called, the newspaper dude, the reporter, how the reporter got in there, and the one guy was like, somebody else is supposed to be in that chat, and she's like, who was that? And he's like, nah, I'm just taking responsibility. I was the one that made the group, but he didn't say who was supposed to be in there. Then Reese Waters was like, okay, so somebody that was supposed to be in the group chat, knowing this classify, and I know they say sensitive, classify, same thing. It wasn't supposed to be public. Somebody that's supposed to know, and I'm gonna use their words, sensitive situation of Yemen Houthis getting bombed. Anyways, that's sensitive and not classified, according to 47 cabinet. Anyhow, somebody else was supposed to be in there. And so Reese was like, so the person that was supposed to be in there wasn't in there, but somebody that wasn't supposed to be in there was in there. And I was telling Gary, I know who did it. It makes sense. Have solved the I have solved the puzzle, Gary. You ready? Do you know how that no, do you know how that reporter got in that group chat? Yeah. Brian Albert and Brian Higgins. Yeah. They did it. They did it. The Higgins, it is the famous Brian Butt Doll. Brian Higgins and Brian Albert is the reason why that reporter got in that group chat hearing about the 47 cabinet members talk about bombing Yemen Houthis. It's the famous butt doll. Brian Higgins must have been looking at Karen Reed's pictures, and I guess Brian Albert and his wife was getting down and dirty again. It's the famous butt doll. That's what happened. I figured it out. You can call me Inspector Gadget or Kita San Diego. Because my name was not Carmen. It's Kita San Diego. That's what you can call me. Call me, I am Mrs. Perot. Yeah. What? See, I can't even do that. Perot. Mrs. Perot. Because my little gray cells put it together. My little gray cells figured it out. It's the famous Brian Butt Doll. That's how that reporter got into that group chat. I mean, Higgins, he did throw his phone away on the military base and break his little SIM card and threw it in a different dumpster. So who to say that Higgins, the two Bryans, was to say that they didn't butt doll the reporter, and somehow instead of it connecting to their phone, it connected to the group chat. Well, go ahead.
The reporter came across it in the military base, picked it up and carried it with him, then it accidentally butt dialed him, so he got the information.
Yep, got the information. That's exactly how we figured it out, guys. That's how it happened. That's how that reporter got in the group chat. It was that famous butt doll. Nobody talked, but it was that famous butt doll. That's who did it. That's who did it. Because I mean, I'm just saying.
Either that, or whoever Brian Higgins actually gave it to on the military base.
Yep.
So they could.
Was it Pete himself? Because, I mean, did they serve together? I don't think Pete, but I mean, he was a military man according to himself. Anyways, so maybe Pete himself gave the phone. I mean, maybe Brian Higgins gave the phone to Pete himself, and the reporter's number was in Brian Higgins' phone. And so then, because that phone, you know, it likes to butt dial people. It likes to do that. So that's what happened. That's what happened. It was Brian Higgins' phone. The reporter was in Brian Higgins' phone. And since that phone likes to butt dial multiple, like the butt dial Brian Albert multiple times on the night that somebody was found dead, like the middle of the night till that morning that someone was found deceased on Brian Albert's lawn. Maybe the phone butt dialed O'Keefe, and he went to get the phone. He went to get the phone out of his pocket, and then slipped and fell. Maybe. I mean, if the phone can butt dial people, if just coincidentally the day before you was getting the warrant to keep your phone, don't delete anything, just coincidentally the two Brian's phones get rehomed. I'm just saying, who to say that Brian Higgins' phone did not get rehomed with Pete himself, since they have military clearance. They can go on the military base. Okay, then maybe Brian Higgins' phone had the reporter's number in it. And since that phone is known for just randomly butt dial people, maybe that's what it butt text him. That's what it was. So when it butt text the reporter, it brought him into that private. It was Higgins. That's why he didn't want to say. That's why that military guy didn't want to say. He didn't want to say anything. He's like, you know what, and Laura, Brian Higgins has been through some stuff. I mean, he was proven in 2024 that he was a creeping on Karen Reed. The night that Karen Reed's boyfriend, John O'Keefe, the night that he died, we was all drinking. We all went back to Brian Albert's, so that's why he didn't want to say that it was Brian Higgins, because Brian Higgins, he's like, you know, he's been going through some stuff since, you know, because I mean, one, you were seen on the bar top video wanting to square up with John O'Keefe, and then coincidentally y'all go to Brian Albert's house for a party, which was his son's birthday. Horrible birthday. So y'all supposed to go back to celebrate Brian Jr.'s birthday, and then just coincidentally, that morning they find John on Brian Albert's lawn. So yeah, that's why that military guy, the one that made the group chat, he didn't want to tell on Brian Higgins, because it makes sense. Brian's been going through some stuff since January 2022. I'm just saying, it's it's March 2025, and the case is still going on. But I'm just saying, that's why he didn't want to tell Laura, because Brian Higgins is already under the microscope, and if they find out that it was Higgins' phone that butt text the reporter. That's just going to bring more light. So he's such a sweet man to keep Brian Higgins' name out of the newspapers, because, I mean, we already know he's a creep. He was creeping on his good buddy girlfriend. He kissed his good buddy's girlfriend. And these are not my words. These are his words. So he kissed his good buddy's girlfriend in the house when he came over to watch a game with him. He then was messaging his good buddy's girlfriend. Before the good buddy died, they all went out and had a drink. Okay, right. Okay, I'm just saying. We already know. That's who it was. It was Brian Higgins' cell phone that likes to butt dial and obviously, I guess, butt text people and add them to classify, or not classify, because they said it wasn't classified, sensitive group chats. That's what it is. Not classified. None of that was classified information according to everybody that was in that group chat. And so that sensitive group chat that was talking about bombing the Yemen not Houthis. not Houthis, Houthis. Yeah, that's what it is. Houthis. No, okay, so, and they know how Brian Higgins has been depressed. That's just one more thing he can't have on him. That's why that guy, that's why he's like, I take responsibility. Because we only let Brian Higgins in the chat because he ain't got no friends. He ain't got no friends. And so that's why they wasn't looking for him. That's why they realized he wasn't in the chat with them. Because he was just there. It was like one of them friends. Like this one girl said on TikTok. And I totally agree. She said, America, the United States, is that friend in the friend group that, like, they're only friend, like you're only friends with that person because that friend got a hot brother or a cool beach house. And so you're like, ugh, like, I mean, their brother is killed. Like, I guess I have to be friends with America. Or, you know, we don't have, like, none of us in this friend group got this cool beach house. So they're gonna let us use their beach house and their swimming pool and go to their mansion. They have all the best snacks. No, she didn't say all the best snacks in the swimming pool. I'm adding this. This is me. Let me have it. And then she's like, but then when they realize, you know, when they go out to the bar, it's like, who else going? America? Ugh. Well, guys, you gotta watch America, because you know how they do. They're either gonna do something that's gonna embarrass us, or do something to where we're gonna have to almost fight. Like, you know, America, you gotta watch them. That's us. That's us. That's true. I have said it multiple times. Well, I'm not saying like the people, Gary. I'm saying the country itself. I'm not saying like any individual people. What I'm saying is, anytime I have seen people from other countries, they're like, oh my gosh, America is great. They're so rich. Oh my God. And I'm like, okay, what y'all are talking about is not the true America. Because they're basing America off of Hollywood. And anytime, if y'all should know what I'm talking about, if anybody's listening, when people from other countries, when they come to the United States, where do they go? And I'm literally, who I'm thinking about while saying this is the Beasleys. That's James and Millie. And then they brought their mama over. Brought James' mama, Miss Vicky, brought her over. Okay. I'm thinking about Mr. and Mrs. H, or Mr. H and friends, thinking about them when they came over. I'm thinking about the New Zealand fam when they came over. Huh? Oh yeah, thinking about Adam. And Lewis, him and his mama, I don't know if his daddy's coming with them, but they're about to come over. And then Andre, he's about, so my thing is, like Andre and Lewis haven't been to the United States yet. So everything that they're saying and their view of it is what they see. Okay. Now, Mr. H and friends and the New Zealand fam and the Beasleys and Adam, like they have been to the United States. But the problem is, and it's not really a problem. Oh, and I forgot about Kabir. Is it Kabir or Kabar? I think it's Kabir because I always want to say Kabar, but it's Kabir. Sorry. When they came over, they went to Florida. They went to New York. They went to California. They went to Texas. But it's like y'all went to the tourist spots. Yes, New York is beautiful. I've never been to New York. But what I, down here in the South, what I have seen in New York, I want to go to New York. I want to experience that. But I know that's not all of New York. I know that everything shines is not gold. Like my favorite, who's that sings that song? My song Shimmers. All the shimmers in this world is sure to fade away again. I love that song. Shimmers is my favorite song by them. Too far. And then also, no, I was gonna say, are they the same ones that sung Freshman? But they're not. It's a totally different. Freshman, guys, if y'all never even listened to that song is so sad. It's so sad. But yeah, so like, as a kid, like I listened to that song, but it wasn't until I was an adult. And I'm gonna tell you when I very first when you're an adult, you listen to the words, and like what made me listen to them words was 2006. It might have been no, it had to be 2006. But yeah, because it was before I met Gary. Okay, so late 2006, my friend, her aunt died, and around that time is when How to Save a Life was out, and so of course the press, and like the way that the aunt died it was one of them things that was questionable, but not like it was. I don't want to say too much because it's not my family member, but it wasn't. You could look at it on either side. It could be totally questionable, and some things don't make sense. But at the exact same time, everything makes sense. Like I can't explain it without saying what didn't make sense, but also makes sense at the same time. But so she died, and my friend was listening to How to Save a Life, And around that time, I started listening. What is the name of that band? I just forgot the name of that band. Anyway, I started listening to Freshmen, which love Freshmen, and so when I was listening to that, like I was listening to the words, and like I said, back then I was what, like 23. I'm 41 now, so this was years ago. This was during MySpace, because that's how I met that friend, was on MySpace. Anyhow, but I was listening to the words, and then like I never realized the second verse because I was a teenager when listening to that song. So, I'm just dancing, yeah, when I was young, I knew it, just singing, thinking it's a happy song, not realizing the second verse is like horribly sad. Literally, here are the words to that verse. I took a week vacation to forget her. She took a week worth of Valiums. Now I'm guilt-stricken, sobbing with my head on the floor. Not pocket full of pussy. What is it? See, I'm guilt-stricken, sobbing with my head on the floor. And it was something in Baby Breath, and I can't be held responsible. She was touching her face. Anyways, my point of it was, he seen the girl, he hollered at her, they started dating, they broke up, she killed herself, he went on vacation. So literally, never in my whole teen years singing the words, but they was not sinking in. Literally until my friend's aunt died, and she was listening to How to Save a Life, and then just randomly, Freshman came on, and I was listening to the words of Freshman. I'm like, hold on now. I didn't know she killed herself. Like, it makes sense. I can't be held responsible. She was touching her face. I can't be held responsible. I fell in love in the first place. Like I said, like the first verse is, when I was young, I knew when I was young, I thought I knew everything. That's what I'm saying. But she ended up killing herself, and so he took a week vacation to forget her. She took a week worth of Valiums. Anyhow, my point of that is, where was I getting at? Because I know I was talking about Brian Higgins, but what brought me to Freshman? Oh, I was saying, okay, I remember what I was saying. Remember, I was like, everything that shimmers in this world is sure to fade. Anyways, by now, Shimmers. I was talking about Shimmers, and then it made me think of Hands by that group. In my hands again. See love bleeding in me. I love that song too. But Shimmers is my favorite one by them. But they don't sing the Freshman song then. So that's two different bands. But it just led me to Freshman. But it also kind of applies to Brian Higgins, because he's obviously depressed. Maybe that's where I was going with it. John O'Keefe, are you trying to tell me that Brian Higgins? You know what? See, I'm not playing, but I'm playing like at the same time, because I don't know Brian Higgins. He might not be depressed. He might just think that he is the man. And I'm saying, John O'Keefe, are you trying to tell me something? Because I believe in divine intervention. And maybe John O'Keefe, because his words are not getting put out, and people are putting out words that might not be his, but they might also be his. I don't know. I don't know how John O'Keefe died. I know that he did die. I know that he was on the line. I don't know who did it. I don't know if it was an accident. I don't know if it was on purpose. I don't know if it was anybody at that party Well, yeah, I was going to get to that. So, don't know if Karen did it. Don't know if Karen didn't do it. Don't know if anybody that was in that house in Canton, Mass. Don't know if anybody did that. Don't know. Don't know if they didn't do that. All that was known, that wasn't covered up, let me say that again, that wasn't covered up, that he was found on the lawn outside with snow on him. That's the only thing that everybody has said. Now, it even, and I'm going back to the first trial, it was even said that when they pulled up, that he was on his back. And then it was also said when they pulled up, he was face down. So we don't know which way he was laying because it was said both ways. Okay, what we do know, because it was said by everybody, that Karen was she was scared. We have voicemails of her calling. Okay. We know from Jan McCabe, the McAlberts, as we call them, the McAlbert O'Keefes, I added the O'Keefes in there. I know that they are the victim family, but the McAlbert O'Keefes, what they said was that Karen was very erratic. Her boyfriend, she just found her boyfriend laying in the face down or back or laying on his back. Either way, she found her boyfriend laying in the yard. Okay, whichever way he was laying. They also said that she raised up her shirt to try to keep him warm. Okay, if y'all ever seen Karen Reed, she's maybe 90 pounds soaking wet. John O'Keefe, I do believe he was like maybe 6'2", 200 pounds. And she's like maybe 5'4", 90 pounds. Like, she's not a big woman. And the only thing that she thought to do was raise up her shirt and give him her warmth. But according to everybody, that was bad. She was guilty because she was trying to warm him up with her body. She said that, and the other two people that was there said that. Now, the other two people that was there was a McAlbert. The other one, I don't remember what Carrie's last name was, but Carrie. Anyways, they both said the first thing she did was jump out the car, pull up her shirt, and try to give him more. But according to Jan McCabe, that proved that she was guilty. And John O'Keefe, a police officer, a fallen officer, was laying on the lawn of a police officer. They never came outside to help. It was on his front yard. I'm just saying.
Sirens everywhere.
Sirens everywhere. Lights everywhere. McCabe went into the house because Jan is sisters with Julie Albert. Julie Albert is married to Brian Albert. So that's why it's the McAlbert O'Keefes, because it's the Alberts. The Alberts in the O'Keefes. And that's what made it so bad, because the night that it happened, the night that the party was, January the 29th, because it was little Brian's birthday, 21st or 22nd birthday, something like that. Anyways, so they went back to the house because it was little Brian's birthday. And usually, this is what everybody said. The usual thing is when it's a birthday, they go over to Chris Albert, Brian's brother. They go over to his pizza place. They make a pizza, and then they have pizza. Anyways, now it wouldn't have made sense that night if they would have made a pizza, Because little Brian was not with them at the bar. He wasn't with them. He was at home with his friends. Like I said, so. Huh? Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. He was at home with his friends, having his own little party. Now, at that party was two of his cousins. Colin, which Colin is, huh? Well, yeah, but I'm just saying. So Colin is an Albert. So he's kin to Brian Jr. on his daddy's side. Now, his other cousin, Caitlin. Is that her name? Something with a K. So his other cousin, Caitlin, is a... Oh, is it? I might have to close the window, Ori. If it... Okay, I mean, the devil's beating his wife, so... Anyhow, so,
I'm sorry.
Oh, Caitlin is a McAlbert. She's a McCabe. Her mama is Jen, but her aunt is Julie. Julie is married to Brian. Like I said, Colin is an Albert because his daddy is Chris. Chris is Brian's brother. So, his two, and I'm only saying that because Caitlin is the one that took Colin home. And, huh? Well, yeah, I'm saying. But, so they were at the house when all the adults supposedly came. Like Jan and Jan and her husband, which is Caitlin's mama and dad, went to the house. And, Chris, I think he went home because he worked all day. Because, like, he did own the business. So his wife went home because, she worked and she had a headache. So they went home. So they wasn't over there. Chris and his wife wasn't over there. But their son was. But of course, he's over his big cousin's house, because it's his birthday. So, yeah, I'm not saying anything. All I'm saying is, that's why I say the McAlberts O'Keefes. And the only reason why I threw in the O'Keefes is because, now, me coming from, I understand. At that time, I was not, like, I understood. Like, I have always had empathy. I have always had understanding. But I was not grieving at that specific time. I know from the other side that a family member got killed. You know how they got killed. In my case, I know who allegedly killed her. The person that they said did. Anyways, he wasn't the only one in the car. I haven't seen no videos. It was deemed an accident. I will never get justice. And like I said in therapy, I don't even know what justice looks like. But I would never get justice. Never. So, I am not shitting on the O'Keefes because Paul did lose his big brother. Paul's niece and nephew lost their mama of cancer. Paul's niece and nephew 3 months later lost their daddy from a heart attack. So these two kids lost their mama, and then 3 months later they lost their daddy. Okay, now Paul and his wife could not, like they couldn't just uproot their life because they didn't live in the same town. And yeah, they could have uprooted the kids' life and brought them to where they live now. Like, I don't know if the kids live with them. I'm not even bringing the kids in it I'm not worried, trying to say anything about the kids. I'm just saying, at that time, when they lost their mama to cancer, which was Paul and John's sister, they lost her of cancer. Then 3 months later, they lost their dad to a heart attack. So these kids have had loss. So because Paul and his wife, they got kids. John got hurt on the job. So he was like, you know what? I'm on medical leave anyways. I'm going to go move into my sister and my brother-in-law's house so that the kids can finish school. Once the kids are finished with school, then we will move back, close to my mom and dad and my brother. His brother, so the kids finished school because they wanted to try to keep the kids' life as normal as possible. That's why John went to live in his sister and his brother-in-law's house. After school, that's when they moved the kids. John and his niece and nephew moved closer to his mom and dad and his brother so that they could be around family, the kids' grandparents and uncle. Okay, so then when John died, these kids lost three parents, but and I know John was their uncle, but they lost three parents. I do believe in the short stint of like a year and a half. So I understand Paul is like, I lost my sister from cancer. I lost my brother-in-law from a heart attack. I lost my brother to something. He was found on the line. So I understand Paul going hard because he wants justice. Because for his sister, the justice was, I couldn't prevent her from getting cancer. And I'm not saying like that he blames himself. I'm saying like she had cancer. That's what killed her. It's like that don't take away the sadness, but he knows what killed his sister. His brother-in-law had a heart attack and died. He knows what killed his brother-in-law. But when it comes to his big brother, that they had the same mama, same daddy, his brother, when it comes to him, all he knows is that his brother was found on a lawn, dead. Well, technically dead, but not technically dead. Because the only reason why I say that is because according to them, and I'm only saying what they said on the trial, they had to warm his body up to make sure that his heart will not start beating before they can deem him dead. But yes, when they got there, it was either a faint to no pulse, but it also, he was laying up under snow. So he could have still been alive. They did not know that, like they could not pronounce him dead until they warmed his body up to see that, okay, yes, his heart is not going to start beating and all that. So that's why he was not pronounced dead on the Albert line. That's why, like, they did not pronounce him until he got to the hospital when they pumped warm saline. And see, that's what made me mad. Because, let me have a little personal moment. I got mad because I'm like, wait a minute. Y'all got warm saline? Is that only in Mass? Mass? Y'all holding up on all that warm saline? Because if anybody knows, I still say this to the day. I think I'd be like almost like I'd be on my deathbed before I go to the ER. Because every time I go to the ER, they give me that IV of saline, and it literally makes my bone marrow cold. I don't want to be cold for a day and a half. Because, yeah, my outside temperature is one temperature, but that ain't how I feel on the inside. I am cold. Literally, my bone marrow is cold. And then when I found out that they was pumping warm saline in John Bones in his body, I'm like, hold on now. When did y'all get warm saline? Is this a new thing? Do I have to be froze in order for y'all to give me warm saline? I literally say that's why I don't go to the ER. If I'm sick enough to go to the hospital, I'm going to have to literally feel like, okay, I have no choice. I am literally on my deathbed before I will go to the hospital.
Mom, are you serious?
You know me, Van. You know me.
You're insane.
But I don't like being cold. I don't like being cold. And I'm literally...
Do you like being hot or do you like being medium?
No, I like being hot. I like being warm. I don't like being cold. I never like being cold. I'm weather sensitive. The cold hurts my bones. Like it's not my blood. It's not my skin. So I'm not hurting on the outside. It hurts the inside. If you just imagine you hit your knee and how that hurts. Just imagine that's your whole bones, your whole body feels that hurt. That's what cold weather feels like to me. And since I had the double brain surgery, now if I get too cold, the left side of my body goes numb. It's constantly numb anyways in certain spots, like the top of my thigh. It's numb, but it's not numb. It's like weird because I can feel it, but I can't feel it at the same time. It's really weird. But when it gets cold, I can't feel. Like I can't feel my left hand, can't feel my left toes. Like I can walk because I can feel myself picking my leg up, but I can't feel, like I don't feel the nerves. So like if I'm walking and I step on something and I can't feel, like I won't be able to feel it until my leg gets warm. And once my leg gets warm, then I'm like, oh, I stepped on something. But like other than that, I can't feel it. Like I can feel, like I can walk, I can move my hand, and I know that I got a hand, but I can't feel it because the nerves are cold and I can't feel them. That's why I remember when we went up, and was walking, remember, and it was snow and we was walking up the driveway up at blah 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 house.
Yeah.
And I took off my boots and I walked up the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I literally didn't even feel it. Like, yeah, my foot was cold, but I didn't feel pain because my leg was already cold. So I couldn't feel, okay, this is not good, that I shouldn't be able to feel it. Like on the right foot, it got so cold that I couldn't feel it. But the left foot, it automatically, I could not feel me walking like on ice, literally. I was walking in socks up that hill, and you've seen how much snow was on that driveway. So, when I say I did not feel, and like my feet didn't even hurt. It's just, I was just like, okay, my toes are still kind of numb. And literally, my doctor's like, oh, you might have got a little frostbite. I'm like, but my toes are not this color. She goes, yeah, sometimes they like, because it wasn't like a frostbite. Like, I knew no business to do that, but it wasn't no other way that I can get up that hill. Because you seen how their yard was. And then I had to, like, and guys, just to let y'all know how I got up that hill, my daddy, he gave me a pair of his shoes. So, that's how I got up that hill. Is, like, I had shoes on. I mean, I had boots, but my boots didn't have traction. So, my daddy, good thing he had two boots, because he came down, and I'm like, okay, so who's going to help us up if we both fall? I'm like, if you don't... Bless his little heart. Bless his heart. He was coming down to get me. And so he gave me a pair of his shoes. And I put on his shoes that had more traction because it was his driveway. So I had on his shoes. And then he had on the pair of boots. So he's trying to help me up up his driveway. And I'm like, okay, if you fall, I'm trying to prevent you from falling. He's trying to prevent me from falling. We look like two drunkards out there. And I'm like, okay, if we both fall, because he had a stroke, so he's not stable, didn't bring us cane. So I'm like, okay, two people out here that possibly has strokes. Barely. I'm laughing because I'm thinking, okay, if he fell, who's going to help him up? If I fall, who's going to help me up? So we both going to be just out there laying, both numb, because we can't hardly feel our whole bodies, because he had a stroke. And so he's numb in certain spots, you know, because it damaged him when he had his stroke. I possibly had a stroke when I had my double brain surgery, because when I woke up, I couldn't feel the left side of my body. I'm coach, so I'm already not feeling the left side of my body. And then I don't know where his numb spots are, so if he falls, so it was like, okay, you know, this was so stupid, you know. One, it was stupid. I shouldn't have took my boots off. I should have just been like, okay, I just don't know how I'm gonna get up that hill. But we got up the hill. And but yeah, so that was just funny. I'm laughing because I'm like, I know we looked at a hot mess. He came down and he got me. You know, we walked up the hill, but it was like, if you fall, who's gonna help you up? And if I fall, who's gonna help me up? Like, we both could just be laying out here dead. I guess we just died together. But anyway, so I'm laughing at that. But anyways, I understand Paul. I understand his mom. I understand his daddy, because Paul is their only, as far as I know, their only living child, because their daughter died of cancer, and then their son was found dead, and we don't know who did it or what happened. What officially happened. That's what I was coming back to. What? Jay Morrell, what happened? What happened? Well, say that, Gary. I want to watch it.
What happened?
Jay Morrell, it says she was hospitalized. Hopefully she's okay. I like Jay Morrell. But yeah, so I'm going to let y'all go, because I've been talking y'all's ear off for almost an hour. I don't think anybody's going to get this far, but if you do, y'all know I can talk. Watch me at 2 times speed. It'll go faster. I know I'm telling y'all that at the end of the video, but y'all should already know I can talk.